my name is Luisa Frias, and I am the owner and co-founder of LuluSYNC. It is a professional development web platform that I'm trying to inspire women. So this is an honor to get to do what I love every day, and I wish to connect with other women that do the same thing. I am a professional life hacker. What I do is what I love, and by trade, I've been a teacher. I've been all kinds of corporate area, different aspects and avenues of all the jobs that I've had, and I finally decided that I need to hone in on exactly what I'm good at, and I'm good at lighting other people's spirits and lighting them to their fullest potential. So one of the reasons that I went into this is because I want to inspire other people to do exactly what I do by living the life that they love. So it's awesome. It's a ongoing process. My talents aren't confined to traditional 9-to-5 kind of skill sets, because I believe that we're all different kinds of people and not just identified by one sole talent. So what I do is we do an assessment to figure out exactly what you're good at and what actually, initially, not only what you're good at, but what you love to do. If you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. So I don't work, and people always give me a hard time about that. They say, you know, how are you living this life that you're loving? And it's by finding that. And it took me some very amazing circumstances for me to find it, and a lot of people give me a hard time. A lot of my friends who are older, a little bit older, they're like, or shall I say seasoned, they give me a hard time because they're like, you're such an old soul. You have this mind frame or mindset of doing big things, and you end up doing them. And the thing that I want to share is that it's not me. Everybody could do this. This is for you. This is why I do this. If you see me, who I'm ordinary, I'm nothing special, you can do this alongside me. And the quicker I get you to a platform that's greater than what you thought could be, you're gonna hold my hand and bring me up with you, honey. This is a selfish motivation to get you where you wanna go. So it's been a fantastic ride, and I just can't wait to see where it goes. My inspiration comes from my dad. My dad never told me I couldn't do anything that was beyond the scope of reason. I mean, he was like, you know, I remember in like 3rd grade, I was like, man, Dad, I want to be an astronaut. And he's like, all right. So he'd pull calculus books out of the library, and he's like, okay, let's sit down, let's start working on whatever you want to do. And it was, to me, a realization that not everybody has that. Not everybody has that champion behind what you want to do and what you dream of doing. So for me, my dad was normal. That was normal. But when I would start sharing these kinds of stories with other people, they were like, hey, that's not normal. You are very lucky that you have a family that believes in what you do, and you really go for it all. So I'm indebted to whatever he's planted in my heart to get done. So I have 2 different strands of the company itself is 2 different strands. One is specifically on personal development, and the other one is a corporate curriculum writing. So that's another entity. But the one that I want to talk about is the women high achievers. The high achievers who don't come from someone who champions them usually take on a lot more than the women I deal with are very high achievers, and they're very hung up on being perfect. And perfectionism is a syndrome in the women that I deal with. They're beautiful, gifted, brilliant women, but they're struggling with balance. And that's what I do. That's what we distill and what we cut out, we carve, and we shape their lives in a way that they've created and designed to be optimal for them. So whatever we package together and we get done for you doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the same experience for your friend who, you know, I come recommended to. So what we do is we sit down, we figure out, you know, what lights you up. And sometimes it takes a couple of sessions. It's not just a one-stop shop, because it takes some time. Some people like to trust you, to say, you know, why are you doing this? What's a lot of innate issues come out when we decide that you are the owner of your life, and when you get to say no to certain things that are not bringing you the brightest light. It's empowering, and that's what I want to do. I want to give women that option. If you know that you have the choices to change your world at any given point, you get to decide that. And when you realize that, the world is yours. Like, you can do anything. Absolutely, and that's a big syndrome that's coming out with, especially with all the media that's coming out, you know, with our younger generation women. That's another thing that I need to get across. We need to start helping our girls be okay with themselves. You are a shining star. It doesn't matter what the next person next to you does. Worry about yourself, and in being the best that you can be. There is no comparison, because you're the only person that is you. That is a gift to you. Once you realize that you are not compared to anybody, because you're a special circumstance of all of the experiences that you bring, all of the gifts and talents and all the things that you wish for, you're magical. There's no one like you. So if we started realizing that at a younger age and really harnessing that power, you can do so much. You really can. And people are always asking me, well, how are you doing all this? How are you doing these amazing experiences? How are you jumping up and doing this? It's because I had it in my thoughts, I planned it out, and it happens. We all can do this. There is no one telling you no. If you want it bad enough, we can help you get there. We start off with an assessment of, okay, let's start thinking about the happiest memory you have. You know, we start expanding on it. You know, let's start thinking about what's if you could dream your biggest vacation, or dream your biggest, if you could design what job you would have. What would you be doing? What do you love? Computers? We start with a whole assessment on what lights you up. And even that brings in so many conversations, because they'll say, well, I love art. What are you doing right now? I'm an investment banker. And it doesn't align. So when someone sits down and says, okay, this is what you love, this is what you're doing. If they don't match, how do we get them to match? And we figure out creative ways on, okay, how does an investment banker, how do we get you to this world? How do we get this where you're not sacrificing what you feel you worked for in terms of, you know, all of the education, all of the corporate, but where we can get you to a space where you couldn't even believe you could live this way. So that's why my elevator pitch is, I am a life hacker. If my corporate friends completely turn off when they don't understand what that means, you're not the person I need to speak with. It's just, we're not meant to be at this point. But when people say, wait, what does that mean? It means I do what I want to do, and I make things happen. I ignite my visions, and they come to life. So for me, the biggest passion is, forever and a day, I'll always be a teacher. Is I show you how to do that with you, whatever you want to do. I work with authors and people who've always wanted to do X, Y, and Z. I've always wanted to, jump in front of an improv, comedy, X, Y, Z. What's stopping you? Let's identify exactly what we need to do. Who do we need to talk to? What do we need to get together? And let's go do it. We do this, and it's so amazing to see people just launch off. Well, the reason I started this business was it took me many years to realize this can be a thing. But I lived in Brazil for a year under the premise that I thought I had cancer. Prior to going, they make you take shots for school and make you sign all these forms, and they make you go to your doctors before you. I was studying abroad, and they do all this, and when I got to the doctor, they called me. I was a week out from my flight. They called me and they said, we need you to come in. And I was like, oh, I'm not going in. I already got my checkup. I'm good. And they're like, no, we need you to come in. I was like, no, that's quite all right. They're like, no, ma'am, you don't understand. You have cancer. And I was like, well, I'll call you later. I hung up the phone, and I really just did some soul searching, and I was like, wow, I can't go now. It was really, I would disappoint all of these. I was under scholarship and the perfectionist syndrome and all of this. I was like, well, I'm just gonna go. If I die, I die. Back then, that's a very selfish. Now, as a mother, that's a super selfish way of thinking. But I really thought, I don't want to inconvenience anybody. And let them know that to worry about me. I don't want anybody to worry about me or treat me different because X, Y, Z. And that in itself, and not telling anybody, was the best gift I could ever receive, because I lived that year as if every day was my last. Like, every day was the best day of my life, and the next day was even better. Like, it was amazing. That year was, I can't, there's no movie that could capture this kind of life that I had that year. When I came back, I said, okay, I need to be responsible. I need to get checked up. And when I called them, and they were like, ma'am, I'm sorry, we don't have that record. We don't have that you had anything. That was a mistake. That was not listed here. Come in and get checked up. No, and it turned out that it was either a wrong person, which I hope not, or it was just a misdiagnosis. But I mean, that to me, if that doesn't speak as a miracle, I don't know what does. But it really changed my whole life, and the way that I think and the way that I operate. I really do see every day as a gift, because it's so transient, and it could go in I mean, we all know someone that, you know, if they've passed, man, yesterday we were just talking to them, you know, and that's, we should appreciate it. We should consider this a gift, and every day is just a building block to being the best day ever. So that's how I live. I just want to live a happy, healthy life for my kids. I mean, that's been the biggest joy for me now, because I get to see little minds that think like me, that walk like me, that spit out exactly the kinds of things that I think in another person. That's kind of amazing to me. So I want them to know that there's so much out there, and that's what inspires me every day. Like, I have 3 little boys who I get to call my sons, and I want them to have a great life, and just I'm appreciative, and that's the first and foremost thing that I do every day. I spend a lot of time thinking about gratitude and how I could help serve, and what I could give to others, even if it's encouragement, a smile. You know, what can I give out to the world today? What can I produce that could shift minds and hearts on a daily basis? And that, to me, this is amazing. I love living this kind of life. Some people would say that because I am this way, the kids, they just pick up on this kind of energy. So, I mean, unfortunately, I have 3 of them, so they have high energy. But I want them to know that there is so much freedom and so much opportunity to help the world on a daily basis. We think big. We sit down and we dream big, and it's just an eventual thing that's going to happen. I really do believe this. I believe this with my first students that I ever had. I worked in a low-performing school, quote unquote. All of them passed with amazing results. So I don't like anybody to label anybody. To me, that's another thing that I'm very passionate about. Anybody that is marginalized, anybody, whether it's underserved, whether it's groups of minority women or African American boys, groups that need a voice or advocacy, I love being part of that, because I'm the voice that a lot of people can't get to have. And I love speaking on that. I love helping other people realize that anybody can do this. Anybody, you just have to have the audacity and backing it up with what you know is the truth. She was happy. I want my legacy to be that she lived a life of passion, and she was happy, and that I could do the same, because I saw her doing what she wanted to do. The audacity to do great things for others with an open heart, it just means if I'm doing well, I'm bringing you up with me. That's all that means. And for me, the word jealousy isn't really a concept in terms of, oh, I'm jealous that they have that, I'm jealous of that, because recently I've realized that when you're jealous of something or someone or circumstances, what it is it's identifying something in your heart that you're available to go get. So all it is it's a to-do list. Like, oh, I like that. I love what they're doing. They're an inspiration for me. Let me go meet them. Let's see how we can work together. And that's all that is. So once we dispel all of those kinds of negativity in your life, you're willing to soar. So it means empowering. I do want to say that education has been one of the best things that has been available to me that I know a lot of people don't really understand. I will be graduating this finally after many, many years this May. So I want to say that even though people are like, why did you stay in school so long? I do want to encourage, the more that you invest in yourself, the more choices you have. The choices that you get to make are a direct correlation of how much you invest in working on you. That means that you don't surround yourself with negative people who don't want to see you soar. You don't allow yourself to be around people who don't feel like more is out there. And my gift would be for those people that, if you are loaded with people that are just negative energy, and if we can't help them, which that's what I love to do. I love helping people get out of that. If you can't help them, learn to let go. And that was the biggest lesson for me, that as soon as I learned that, my life changed.